Hello, Pahrump. This is Dr. Christensen, and this is not Dr. Reiner that's with me tonight for the show. This is LD. LD is a patient of mine that I've treated for a little over a year for an extremely serious low back problem, a problem that started for him when he was 11 years old and has kind of followed him through life since. Looking forward to your calls tonight. We're going to discuss with LD in between the calls the treatment, the X-ray findings, the MRI findings, and the things that we did to help LD get back on his tractor for 2 or 3 hours a day and become a functioning human being again. How old are you, LD?
78.
78 years young. He came into my office with moderate to severe. Hello, Ray.
Hey, Ray the Flag Man. What's Lazedog doing on with you, Creig?
Well, you know, Ray, he was on the porch, so I brought him in.
I just talked to him just like last night, you know? And next thing I know, I see him on live TV. I said, this is amazing, man.
So he doesn't look like Dr. Reiner, does he?
No, he doesn't. No, I guess the hat threw me at first. I said, is that Reiner? I said, no, that's Lazedog. I know Lazedog anyplace.
Yeah.
Ray ugly shows up everywhere. It's most noticeable on a orangutan, but it does show up everywhere, and tonight it's on TV.
Well, I was going to ask a question, but I guess the doc is going to explain something as far as you came in and whatever. My question is going to be simple enough. When I had back pains back in '99, my brother was on his deathbed, and he pointed to a chart, and he said, that's going to help you with your back. And the chart was where you bring your knee up to your chest, but not directly. You kind of bend your leg. You lay in it flat, or you're sitting like on a couch or something like that, and you hold it there for 10 seconds. And I do that, and it seems to take the pressure off of the back. Is there something to that?
Oh, absolutely, Ray. What you're doing there is you're actually stretching the muscles across the pelvis. Very, very effective. To lay on your back and cross your leg and pull your leg up, you're stretching the hamstrings, you're stretching the glute muscles, the butt muscles, you're stretching the low back muscles. Very effective. One of the problems human beings get up in the morning and the first thing they do is run to the toilet and grab a cup of coffee. But if you watch animals, Ray, what's the first thing they do when they wake up in the morning?
Well, my cat stretches. I don't know about all animals, but my cat stretches.
I guarantee you all animals stretch before they do anything. So there's something to that. Stretching is so important, and it doesn't matter what your age limit is. One of the techniques that we've used with LD is a therapy called decompression traction, where I actually put him in a unit that decompresses his spine, and what it is actually doing is stretching the vertebrae, which in turn opens up the disc, brings fluid and blood into the disc, which expands them and takes the pressure off of the nerves.
When I started going to him, I was only 4'11".
Okay, Lazedog, tell another story.
So stretching is important, Ray. It's important. And, if you can't get in and you're hurting, get down flat on the floor. Bring those legs up on your chest and stretch that low back.
And what do you call this, decompression chamber or something? What did you call that?
No, it's a decompression therapy. There's three types.
Okay.
Ray, there's 3 types of decompression therapy. There's what's called a laminectomy, where they decompress the nerve by taking the bone that's pressing on the nerve and cutting it out, or a discectomy, where they actually trim the disc off of the nerve, or there is mechanical decompression, where we actually set LD on a table, strap him in with a strap around his pelvis and around his torso, and we actually milk the spine by stretching him. I think we have you up to about 155, 160 pounds.
165 pounds.
165 pounds of pressure on his low back, which we couldn't even come close to when we started. We probably had him around 110, 125 pounds about 8 months ago, 9 months ago.
Well, is he supposed to be doing all this work? He's on his radio show. He's always talking. He's working on a house, working on a house. Now, you think he's in his what decade are you in, Lazedog? Are you 7th, or you're 8th, or you're 9th, or what is it?
Ray.
I mean, do you remember what?
January 8th of last year is the first time I went to see the doc. And I walked in there leaning to the left, kind of looking like Quasimodo, and I was feeling a whole lot worse. And now we're at the end of August of 16, a year and a half later. And Ray, I have no doubt that I am functioning today at age 78 about on a level that I functioned when I was 65. And that would not have been possible without the processes that I went through at his place of business. Now, I have to say that the first 7 or 8 months were very discouraging, and on the first day I walked in there and I said, this isn't going to be a long-term thing, I'm not playing that game. Well, he kind of informed me he was a doc. We still dispute that, you know. But anyway, one day his son came to visit him at work, and his son has some real special therapy skills. So the doc told him to throw me up on a table and work me over, and I'm telling you what, that's a big guy, and he's stronger than a bull, and I thought he was going to rip my back apart. That was on a Thursday. I walked in there on Monday for my next appointment, and I told Creig that I had had absolutely no pain all weekend.
Wow.
And that therapy that his son had done on me on Thursday was the missing link in my treatment. And shortly after that, they brought in a deep muscle massage therapist, and I began to rapidly get better, and I have been, for all practical purposes, pain-free since January of this year.
And all this
able to work.
Like that motorcycle accident that you had where you went down, or was it a car accident, or just old age? No offense, Lazedog.
Ray,
old age.
I'm a product of the generation in the world where there was a lot of poor people. And I was adopted out of an orphanage at about a year old, and the couple who adopted me were absolutely wonderful people and fabulous parents. However, like many people in North Dakota at that time, they were very poor. And so in place of money, you worked. That's a four-letter word that's not acceptable today with all the government handouts. But my folks had a little one-horse lumber yard, and we got in a carload of cement, railroad car of cement, 844 sacks. I can tell you exactly how many sacks there were. And he couldn't find anybody to help him unload that, and the railroad only gave you 3 days before they put demurrage on the car. And of course, if you don't have any money, the last thing you need to do is incur some additional cost. So being a snot-nosed 11-year-old that knows almost everything, and of course I still do, and still have a snotty nose, but anyway.
He's not 11 years old anymore though, Ray.
No.
Mentally I'm 12.
I don't know if he realizes that, Creig.
Yeah, mentally I'm 12. But anyway, I didn't see any reason why I couldn't help him do this. And so that's what we ended up doing. And he would carry those sacks across the, what was called a car door, and put them on a chute down into the bin that they had rented by the railroad. And at the bottom of the chute, while I couldn't lift a sack, I probably weighed 105 pounds and the sacks were 94. And
yeah.
while I couldn't lift one, I could take it off of that and carry it and then set it down someplace. And by stair-stepping it, I could pile them. And We had to get 13 high to get that carload in there.
Okay.
3 days later, we released the car and didn't have additional cost. And 67 years later, I'm still enjoying the result of that, because an 11-year-old kid shouldn't be doing.
It's a long time for payback, Lazedog.
Yeah,
A long time, 67 years for something when you did when you're 11.
An 11-year-old kid shouldn't be doing something like that, you know.
Well, I know you're going to be going to break any minute. Maybe I'll call a little later, but I think you're going to have more calls today, especially when you got a patient here who's verifying that he's being helped. So
well,
people are going to be dialing in, say.
I always appreciate your calls, Ray, and I encourage you later on in the show to call back and visit with us. Thank you.
All right, you guys have a good day. Flagman, over and out.
Thanks, Flagman. So we took x-rays of LD's back shortly after he came in, and I was surprised that the man could even walk. I mean, I've seen x-rays on low backs for 37 years, and I have to say, his low back was a mess.
The word you used was disaster.
Well, it was a mess. We're gonna break right now. We'll come back with the rest of this story in a few minutes. If you guys have phone calls and questions, I encourage you to call in. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Reiner, your host of the Independent Doctors of Pahrump, a TV show that airs Monday night on Channel 46. I want to remind you that I am a practicing physician in Pahrump, and I'm an independent practitioner, which means I am not bought by any insurance company or corporate medicine. We provide the highest level of care. We have nurse practitioners. We have other physicians, specialists who come to our office. Please come visit me. I'm at 1316 East Calvada here in the heart of Pahrump. Thank you.